Good morning, everybody. Here we are from Indiana, Zone 5B, and it is July 15th. And I want to do a update on my 3-year-old food forest, show you how my composting is going. Then we have some nursery work. Also, I have to have some bad news about a chicken, so stay tuned. First off here, this is the entrance that I usually use to my food forest, and everything is 3 years old except for the giant maples. They're getting giant anyways. Those are about 3.5, 4 years old, because those came up naturally when I quit mowing my grass the end of 2019, and they started sprouting up, and I got hundreds of them. But then there's things like this peach that will need to get pruned probably this year, and I have a couple more I'll show you that really do need to get pruned. I don't know much about it other than stone fruit need an open center, so things like this branch may have to go, and then this will be the central leader. Oh, but it's dead, so who knows. We'll have to do some more research and take a look at it. Channels like Edible Acres, the guy named Sean over there, and then Canadian Permaculture Legacy. Well, these are all 2-year-old raspberries. There's yellow Ann and then red Caroline raspberries. We've also started some form of nursery work. We have a number of strawberries that we got from a friend. These are June bearing. Generally speaking, there's June bearing and ever bearing strawberries. The only real difference I can see, because they produce fruit throughout the year, is one type spreads and one type doesn't. I can kind of trying to see if I can see a nook, but basically these will come out, and this will end up trying to fall into the dirt and start a new plant. These are a little bit different in their case because they were already spreading, then we transplanted them, and we've finally made some progress on our compost. Probably give it another turn tomorrow. I've been working on it for about 7 days now. We had to clear out those, which still need some more clearing out, but it's pretty difficult work, I think, so take it a piece at a time. But we're up to, it's over 130 degrees at the center of this pile, so things like these chunks of wood chips and poo, we get broken down along with all this hay and straw. And we have, right on the other side here is where we've been planting all of our nursery plants that we can try to sell individually as part of a landscaping venture. These are asparagus. We have a number of these pots filled with asparagus. And then more strawberries. It's a little, not sure how much it'll pick up, but you see these long grasses, we kind of pull these out just so they don't block too much of the sunlight. Then we have a couple of strawberries planted in there. So it's pretty cool. We got to come through and check all the, make sure they're not flowering. We really want them to focus on rooting and spreading. So here in the next couple of weeks, we'll probably separate these out and see how much they're running, and maybe put them in bigger pots. And it's really cool. Some of these trees, like this apple, we planted 3 different types or named varieties of strawberries in here. And you see there's a little flower head that we got to pick off. But the idea was to sell a tree, a Honeycrisp apple, semi-dwarf, and market those to people in urban, suburban environments, that we could plant this, prepare the ground for them, and they would have an apple tree, or a pear tree, or a cherry tree, in the case of this one. And they would also come with strawberries, asparagus, and probably walking onions. Here's a sample of some of our asparagus. And these we actually split half of our asparagus in one spot and tried to get it to Excuse me. Tried to see if we could get it potted up and see how well it survives. So that's the idea with these pots. Of course, as my forest matures, it'd be nice to start planting the seeds from my fruit trees and actually starting off with seedlings and get those going. We'll make a little circuitous route here, just so I can get a visual on just how much things have grown over the last, well, total of 3.5 years, I suppose, at this point. And we have a number of trees and bushes. Here's just a quick example. There's an aronia berry bush that I bought from the city. That'll fill up all the space basically in the camera view. That's a black chokeberry. Then we have a Santa Rosa plum, which we'll have to prune that as well. It's put on so much growth this year. You can see from that center right there, all of this is growth from this year. Just pretty awesome, and we're only halfway through, really. And then I'll show you one of the peaches, because we have, sea berry, and there's almonds over there. There's a hazelnut that didn't survive. We got a number of hazelnuts that we planted this year. We have an elderberry that's struggling, but we got a number of other elderberries that are 7 times larger than this, so it's really, really awesome to see the variety and the growth. But here's one of the 5 or 6 peaches we have here in this half-acre backyard, and they pruned it. Like if you buy something from Stark Brothers or one of these other companies, they basically sell you a stick, because they professionally prune it when you buy it, and then it grows from there. So some of these things to prune are pretty obvious, like just cut the dead stuff and stuff that's not doing nothing. But in this case, for an open center, looks like I would have to cut it right here and allow this branch to go, and then this branch right here that going off to the right there, which seems like it's such a horrible thing to do because it's put on so much growth. But if you think about it, this is all pumping energy into the roots, and if I cut this down when it's dormant, it'll be able to regrow into these more lateral branches. So it makes sense. It's just got to cut quite a lot off. And then finally we'll tell you a little bit about Lucy, our chicken that was getting beat up. Here, I'll turn the camera around. We had one of our Americana chickens were getting beat up 5-6 days ago, and we figured it was probably from one of the white leghorns. So we separated them, put them in the garage for a day. Had one of her sisters in there. It was way too hot, and we were trying to keep airflow, so we had left the door open. Lucy had ended up running over and trying to play volleyball with us. So we were like, okay, well, maybe she'll be okay to put back in the regular coop. However, unfortunately, oops, sorry, I'm not even on camera. Fortunately, Lucy escaped. She escaped with all of the birdies. There was an overlap problem in that far corner, and all of these chickens got out. I came out two mornings ago, had to rustle up all the chickens, and found that one was missing. So the Lucy that was beat up was one that escaped, and we haven't been able to find her. So we're just hoping that maybe there's another neighborhood flock of chickens, and Lucy's living her best life over there. We've looked around, ridden our bikes around to see if she's in the area, but she has not arrived. So now we're down to these 2 Americanas, and then we have 3 of the white leghorns. So thanks for, I guess, put some prayers or thoughts out for for little Lucy and hope she's doing all right. And pray for these two that hopefully it wasn't any predator that actually got in here, because I would hate for that to happen. But I think this was a couple of holes down, so this whole thing was shifted over. And when we had this on here, all it was doing, it was a lot more like this, but this was a lot looser. So I'm just kind of figuring that the Lucy was kind of getting pecked at. She saw an opening, she flew out. The rest of them ended up flying out, and she just took off. I'm guessing is what happened. We haven't seen her. Nobody's come by from the neighborhood saying, "Hey, you want your chicken back?" So we'll see. I know there's other chicken keepers in the city, so I just hope that she's doing all right. But it makes us think, if it were to happen again, we got to figure out a better way to figure out which of these birds, these white leghorns or whatever, is attacking the bird, and try to separate them in here somehow. Maybe run a little bit of inside fencing off to the side here, you know, and then they could still lay eggs. We could put a little feeder in there, but just to make, I don't know, put them a chicken on timeout, I suppose, is the technique that I've heard of the best. Just put the chicken on timeout. Woo, as I walk through the jungle here. Put the chicken on timeout, and hopefully I'll change their behavior, but at least the one that was getting attacked can heal. So, I think that's it for today. I'm gonna go have some breakfast, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye-bye.